Welcome back to my Thoughtful Thursdays video channel where we talk about important issues both inside and outside the church. Today we are finishing a series of videos that we've done on LGBTQ plus people and the church. We have shown that the scriptures, as they are not condemning of modern day loving, consensual, and monogamous same-sex relationships. I mentioned in our last video that I wanted to talk briefly about what now? What do we do with this newfound knowledge that we all have? Step one, apologize. We have to get to a place where we can just say, I was wrong. I was going off of old ideas. I was going off of my own prejudices. I completely condemned an entire group of people from my understanding of a poor translation of the Bible into English. There is nothing wrong with changing our mind when we are presented with new ideas that run counter to the ones that we once believed in. That is a sign of maturity, not weakness. For some reason, an apology is rare in today's society. We certainly know that our politicians don't know how to do it, and most people in power don't know how to either. We are better than that. Second, we must work towards being a trusted person that our loved ones can feel safe around. If we consider ourselves followers of Jesus who go to church and we have ever expressed this phrase, love the sinner, hate the sin, I can tell you that there are people in our life who do not see us as a safe person. We might feel like we are the most loving person of all time, yet we are seen by LGBTQ people as highly judgmental. We need to, at a bare minimum, get ourselves to a place where we don't have a knee-jerk reaction if someone comes out to us. If our response sounds anything similar to this, well, I love you, but I just can't agree with your lifestyle, then we need some work. Yes, I'm talking to you. Here, let me give us some more helpful words. Wow, thank you so much for confiding in me. I recognize how courageous you are to tell me that. I love you so much. This is people's livelihood that we are dealing with. They trust us enough to let us know, at the very minimum, this is not a time to talk about lifestyle. What they need in this vulnerable time is our love, our support. This is life or death, people. We must change. Thirdly, being gay isn't a choice. It just isn't. We don't know exactly what forms attraction. Is it nature? Is it nurture? We don't know. What we do know is this: it can't be changed later in life. I take that back. It shouldn't be changed later in life. Our sexuality, who we are attracted to, isn't like a light switch that you can just flip on and off, and it isn't meant to. Which leads us to the fourth point. It shouldn't be changed or even attempted to change. I'm not just speaking on behalf of myself here. I'm speaking on behalf of all major medical and psychological associations. It is detrimental to try and switch people's sexuality. It shouldn't be done. Here is what actually happens in conversion therapy: repression. You can 100% repress your sexuality. Many LGBTQ teens grew up with the same prejudices that you and I grew up with. They were brought up to believe that it was wrong as well. They have enough shame and self-hatred inside of them that they can repress their sexuality. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard over and over and over again of people who desperately wanted God to change them. And then when Christians tell them things like, well, I'm not about to condone their choices or their lifestyles, and the poor LGBTQ teen is like, I didn't choose this. Like, why would anybody choose this? Why would anybody choose to have their parents disown them, to be bullied in school, to have everyone at church think you're an abomination? Like, who in their right mind would choose this? Fifth, we have to let our voices be heard. Silence is not allowed. Being neutral on this one sort of doesn't work with my generation anymore, especially if you are a person who holds power and authority. We must utilize that privilege and authority to let people know that we aren't okay with the condemnation of God's beautiful creatures. The instant that Ellen and I heard that our former church group was considering a position on this topic, the first thing that we both did was to write separate letters to the director of the movement, expressing our dissenting opinions. We pleaded for them to not come down on the wrong side of history, to not draw a line in the sand. We let them know that we were not okay with the decision being made. And of course, neither one of us ever heard a word back. Not surprising. I have fought for equality ever since. Our voices have to be heard. Let your voice ring out. Speak up to power. There are so many people right now that are on the fence, and they are just waiting for a strong voice of influence in their life to say, hey, enough is enough. We are going to fight for total equality. The sixth thing is that these last weeks have been so much fun and yet so important to the future of the church. Not only does a new form of faith have to emerge out of all this, but also the older generation of churches needs to be reformed as well. Our God's love is so massive that we can't even fathom it. I like to think of God as a diverse gardener. Think of all the diversity in the flora and the fauna around us, the colors, everything is different, the sizes. God created it all, and He said that it is good. I believe that God created LGBTQ people just the way they are. It is not a mistake. It is all a part of God's glorious diversity. Christians like to push back against this idea by quoting from Genesis, but it was Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Well, isn't that such a cute little saying? Never heard that one before. The Bible is often descriptive and not prescriptive, meaning that just because the Bible describes something doesn't mean that everything outside of that one thing is wrong for all eternity. It was describing something, not prescribing that this is how this certain thing needs to be forever. That would be a very narrow way to look at the Bible. Jesus loves gay people, and the church of the future will reflect that more than we do today. We must change. Friends, there's obviously a lot more that we could talk about on any given part of this series, but alas, there are other things that we must talk about. Please join me next week as we unabashedly celebrate that Black Lives Matter. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you back here next week, same time, same place.